Good morning, stock traders, and welcome back to Stock Traders Talk Radio. I'm your host, Stock Sumo, and thanks for joining us on another terrific Tuesday, August 28th, 2012. Now, one of the favorite things that we like to do here on Stock Traders Talk is bring you the very best in CEO interviews. And today we have another exclusive CEO interview lined up for you. And doing today's interview is Haas. Haas, take it away.
Good morning, Stock Sumo. Good morning, fellow STT radio listeners. We have a pretty cool interview this morning with a Mr. Yoav Krill, who is the chairman of Suspect Detection Systems Incorporated, stock ticker SDSS. A super hot stock as of late, and a pretty cool company once we get into some of the details of this technology. Mr. Krill has a diverse history and background as a senior manager, including the CEO for El Israel Airlines Europe, and also the CEO of Bezek, which is an Israeli telecommunications company, and its worldwide subsidiaries in the emerging markets around the world. Later on in his career, Mr. Krill was a senior vice president of Mercury Air Group, as well as a senior vice president of IDT Corporation, which is leading U.S. telecom company. And later on, as the CEO of Telligent Incorporated and the CEO of IDT Europe and some of its international subsidiaries. So very, very strong background. And also a very strong background in the telecommunications industry, I should say, in general. Let's just welcome him to the show before I confuse myself with his very diverse background. Welcome to Stock Traders Talk, Mr. Krill. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm doing very well. Thank you. Very happy to be on your podcasting.
Well, thank you for joining us on the show this morning. Where are you coming out of this morning? Are you out in New York right now?
I'm right now in New York watching what's happening and all the security alerts and handling what's happening now in Florida and around the country.
Oh, yeah, great. Well, why don't you give us a brief history of your background in, all these different types of industries, especially the security industry, which is the focus of suspect detection systems. Why don't you give us your own brief history for us?
Well, I have quite a lot of international managerial experience, and in most of my career, a major part of my tasks being Israeli, serving in the Israeli military, and executive in El Al Israel Airlines, I was quite involved in developing and operating security and anti-terror systems, among other things, of course. You know, that's a major issue in our country, and especially started with the airline industry, where planes were kidnapped and all kind of terror acts against the airlines. That's on top of the telecommunication and engineering background and managerial of projects all around the world. I'm quite familiar to what's going on right now around the world with we shouldn't call it industry, but actually activities, anti-terror activities.
Yeah, the anti-terror market is slowly becoming an industry with all the issues around the world, for sure.
Unfortunately.
What's that?
I said, unfortunately, it's become an industry.
Yeah, definitely. Well, why don't you give us a brief history of the company itself, Suspect Detection Systems, and how you came to be in a managerial position with the company?
Well, the company was actually established in 2004, and what triggered it is the event or the tragedy of 9/11. You know, all those terrorists came into the country completely legally without any harm and any ammunition or any active or physical means for terror. The only thing they had, all 16 or 18 members had the intention. That's all. They were legal. They had the visa. They had passports. Everything was completely legal. There is no way you can trace them by any physical means. The only thing they had evil intention. So the U.S. government, the Israeli government, put as a goal to develop a system that can trace people who are coming into the country with evil intention. We established the company 2004, and with basically Israeli experts in all kinds of IT, technology, and mathematics. And we developed a system that we can trace very quickly evil intentions among or within people, whether they are individuals or they are in a crowd, walking into a venue like a stadium or airport or railway stations. We can trace those with evil intention and call them for further investigation or interrogation. That's also being done by with our system. That actually sounds like science fiction, but it's working.
It does sound a little bit like science fiction,
Yeah.
but it's
sounds like science fiction, but it's working. And not only it's working, the system is already being sold and operating in few countries. Quite successfully.
Yeah, I think a lot of them that have been mentioned in the press, you mentioned, this is being used worldwide already over the last few years here. Israel, the Mexico and Latin American market. You guys have expanded into the Asian and Japan markets. There's been some testing, I believe, at a Texas airport. So hopefully within the U.S. sometime soon here. And in recent news, you've been talking about a new world power market that you guys are trying to do some business with here, but obviously haven't mentioned the name yet, so people are pretty curious as to where you guys are expanding next. But as far as your actual team goes, you mentioned the diverse background in the team that you guys have built with suspect detection systems. Lots of technological background, lots of law enforcement background, security background, anti-terror background. It sounds like you guys have built quite an amazing team to develop this technology.
I can just mention that we have a very thin group of people. The CEO is a financial expert, and the vice president sales is a very known person who was vice president sales in NICE, which is the world leading company in interception systems. In the advisory board and in the board of directors, we have Mr. Amiram Levin, who was deputy head of the Mossad, and I don't have to explain what the Mossad is. I guess you all know. And we have Al McNeil, who was formerly deputy NYPD commissioner. So with this thin team, we are approaching all those markets that you have mentioned, and with quite what we can say, or what was already announced, is quite successful achievements in countries like India, like Mexico, like Colombia. And there are a few more countries that unfortunately I cannot disclose at this stage, but one of them is one of what we used to call the superpowers, and one very big country on the Far East that the system is being used for screening immigration screening customs and screening people with criminal intentions. The most famous one is that we, through the interrogation application that for our system, we managed to find out who actually did terror explosions in the state of Gujarat in India, and even send a warning to the state of Delhi that they should expect something within 2 weeks. And unfortunately, it did happen. So the machine, the system were quite successful to the stage that it's now being a part of the Police Academy University in India. We are teaching, and they are our systems, and they are using it.
Yeah, that's fantastic stuff, and it sounds like you guys are in talks with some pretty well-known countries and governmental agencies. So I'm sure our shareholders are excited to hear about some more details on that in the near future. Let's talk about the technology itself for a little bit. I know you guys have a couple of different systems using what is well known as the COGITO technology. Why don't you tell us a little bit about each of the products using this COGITO technology and what each of them are used for?
Well, the COGITO system itself, which comes as a small laptop, one version, and other version as a huge cabin that you can interrogate people coming to the country. It's a system that within 5 minutes of checking a person, we can say to the extent of false positive ratio of 90%, which is very, very high, that somebody has evil intention. Once we trace that he has an evil intention, then the experts can investigate or interrogate him further on. The whole process is taking 5 minutes, but the idea is that you cannot obviously check when you deal with crowds, like people coming to stadium or people coming from the railway station, with each one of them goes 5 minutes. So we have other device that it's actually a camera with a specific software that trace and the people who are suspected with evil intentions. Those people are being called aside and go to the further check, I would call it, not even an investigation, of the COGITO, which will take 5 minutes. If it clears, the person clears and goes away. If it's being found as suspected, then he is being taken for further investigation.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely see a need for the quicker screening methodology, and then moving into a more in-depth interrogation should you find something that's a little bit off.
I can just tell you further additional applications that we just on our planning is that like in the last Olympic Games, we can check people for drug usage non-invasive and very quickly. So, but we still have people in the back of their mind are resisting to those kind of systems, being afraid of penetration of privacy, which is not at all, because here you are being questioned by machine, not by any human being, and that's the most objective way to check persons.
Yeah, non-invasive is definitely key. I mean, the technology itself can be used for a wide array of applications, you know, military, government, you mentioned border crossings, airports, Olympic Games. The market is absolutely huge for this. What are you guys' plans as far as expanding into the other countries that you can and cannot mention? What sort of marketing do you have in place, and what's your marketing strategy going forward here?
We are right now, as already was announced, we are right now going through deployment or how to say, primary installations in one of those superpowers, and which of course consume a lot of our resources. I can only say that the system was already successfully classified, and but it takes time. And the sales, we are talking about 7-digit sales potential on only one of these opportunities. And we have other countries that we are hoping to complete the certification stage very soon, and we already reported that we are in that process. Again, unfortunately, I cannot and I'm not allowed to mention the name of those nations or to identify the countries, but I think it's very well established already.
It's pretty well speculated on what the country could possibly be. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I just have to mention the countries that we are already in, like India, like Mexico, like in Colombia, we are screening employees. I mean, what is more dangerous at the airport than the employees? I mean, if you think of it, passengers are coming and going, but employees are daily over there. And there are in tens of thousands, not in hundreds of thousands. So how do you screen? How do you check that those employees, that one of them is not coming or actually walking in with evil intentions? So I think that's where our system comes in, and I don't think we have any competitor in that respect. We are unique. And hopefully we'll get into the market, and figures and sales will prove itself.
Yeah, well, the actual technology itself was developed with a combination of Israeli intelligence agencies as well as the United States Department of Defense, correct?
No, they were financing it partly. The technology was developed by experts coming from those agencies.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's pretty well known that if the United States Department of Defense and all these more secretive intelligence agencies are funding and developing this technology, it's probably going to be pretty useful worldwide at some point in the future. So looking forward.
That's exactly what restricts me from telling the world about our successful industry or successful system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Great stuff. Fantastic. So just moving on a little bit, you guys have sold this technology to various countries, various governmental agencies. So what development state? You guys are more in a actual marketing stage at this point. The technology's pretty much developed in a few different forms. I'm sure there's more research and development always ongoing as you guys garner more information using the technology. Now that you're venturing into this next stage of marketing and expanding some other countries, what are your expectations for the short term? I mean, where do you see this company going?
Again, I can only tell you that, and you guys probably know it as well as I know, that profit margins in this industry, or namely in the information technology are huge. And if I can pick up an example, a sale of only $3 million can turn the company into profitability, and we are talking about revenues of multiples of this figure. So that's as much as I can hint towards the
Yeah, just commenting on that a little bit before you continue. Obviously, you got governmental agencies throwing billions of dollars at various types of technology like this. And with how useful and this technology seems to be, I could easily see some large 7-8-figure contracts coming the way of SDSS at some point over the next couple of years from some of these larger governmental agencies. Is that a fair assumption on my part?
That's a very fair assumption, but I just would like to add that there are endless applications, because if you can foresee in your eyes that a soldier walk with a small briefcase in the COGITO in it, and the COGITO can speak endless number of languages because it's quite a regular language software, and the soldier, if he has to interrogate, question informer, can open the suitcase, can check the informer, and the guys in the Pentagon or in a remote location can follow it up. So I'm taking you to another level, another stage of the development of the same system, the same COGITO that we have right now in use.
Mm-hmm. So not only are you expanding revenue streams by just expanding the current technology, you're actually advancing the technology and making it more useful in multiple markets, which
Yes.
is also another avenue by which you guys plan to increase the revenue streams for the company.
It's wider applications and more applications, completely, totally to each field you can think of. Let's say even we had queries from the gold and the diamond markets for screening employees. There are endless opportunities, and we are quite limited with our technological efforts now, because our experts, as I said, are totally devoted to that one market, the huge market that we are now pursuing.
Okay, great. Just let's move on to the actual company share structure here and get an idea about the actual stock itself. Your current share structure, you have an authorized share count of 250 million shares, an outstanding share count of 82.6 million shares, and a float of about 51.6 million shares. Do you guys have any intentions of that share structure changing very much in the near future?
Not right now, unless a strategic partner would walk in, and then of course we will have to announce it. But right now we don't have any plans that we can report. There are talks, but nothing is actually affecting or reached the level that we can announce it.
Okay. Yeah, I know you were talking about a merger. You guys went quiet for about a year there as you were in negotiations to merge another company in, and you guys decided not to do that and focus more with the COGITO technology and expanding that brand name, keeping the share structure the same versus increasing the share count with that merger.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, great. Yeah, and you mentioned the profit margins on something like this. After the technology is developed, I mean, for the most part, pretty much everything goes to the bottom line, other than maybe placing a marketing team in another country or a team to teach the technology in another country. But it sounds like actually teaching others to use the technology is pretty simple and fairly quick.
correct. I mean, we actually the future sales are um, uh, going to add to the profit line the full amount as you described, and I was trying to tell about the margins. Our major expense now are business development and going further with the marketing.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think it was in 2010, you guys did pretty close to about 2 million or more in revenues, just with your second year after releasing the product. So, you know, one or two large contracts can definitely add to the bottom line pretty quickly. We've touched quite. Whoop, go ahead.
I gave you the example that within $2 or $3 million, we are reaching the profitability, and right now we are talking on multiples of this number.
Okay. And with a technology like this, I can't help but be curious with some large, you know, governmental agencies wanting to take it private or buy the company out. I don't know if you can comment on that at all.
Well, I hope they listen to you right now.
Would you guys consider something like that if the price was right?
Of course. Of course.
Say sometimes management, you know, they have strong opinions about keeping, you know, a company public or technology public versus private. But I just, you know, dealing with all these government agencies that, you know, would want to do research and development on the technology itself, or just wanting to do what they want with it. I could easily see a buyout in this company's future at some point. So just something that I keep in the back of my head with a company like this.
Well, I think that the developers of the system would like to stay and keep on developing it to the next application, the next level, etc. But that would not interfere in the structure of the company, because we believe that once it's being sold to one or two more agencies, then the growth would be so rapidly that we would need one of the multinationals to help us with that.
Okay, great. Are there any other, you know, strategic alliances or partners that we haven't really covered that you'd like to mention?
Well, we have a strategic partner here in the U.S. In the tri-states, which is Raytheon, and in one of those huge superpowers, we have an integrator that would consider coming in as a partner, but we still have to go through the implementation of the system in that country.
Okay, okay. Why don't we give, let's just go over the websites here. You have a couple of different websites, www.suspect.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yep.
www.suspectdetection.com and also www.SDSS-corp.com. Are those the two main areas where a potential or current shareholder would go to get the best information on the company?
They will get all the information through both of that sites. The first site is our subsidiary in Israel, which does the day-to-day development, and SDSS site is the corporation site, and both the information is integrated, and they can learn a lot from both sides.
Okay. Yeah, you're also listed on the Berlin Exchange, I believe, as ticker SVF.
Yeah, but we are not active over there. We are concentrating now on the market here.
Okay, I see. I see. All right. Just moving on. to wrap things up a little bit here, what do you think makes SDSS a good investment for someone considering putting an investment in the company right now?
It's very simple because we have something that nobody else has it. We have the ability to detect, stop terrorism and crime before it really happens. To screen and detect suspects and further interrogate them as already tested, proved, and being commissioned already in few countries with different applications around the world. Others just don't have it yet, and it will take years to develop or reinvent it. So we are just ahead of everyone else.
Okay. Great. Well, we've covered tons of information on the company and also the technology. Is there anything else that you want to add or address before we let our shareholders go do some of their own due diligence?
Just follow up our website and see and try to learn what I'm not allowed to say, and I'm sure it will be more attractive than it may sound right now.
Okay, yeah. Are we going to see, I don't know if you can comment on this or how much you can comment, are we going to see a lot of press coming in the news in the near future on some of these recent happenings with the company that we're reading about where we don't know all the details quite yet?
I'm very much hope so, but we need to get a clearance from each one of the governments we are dealing with.
That might be difficult.
And that's not easy one. That's not easy one. Although I think and I hope that by next one, at least we will get we will be authorized to announce the system in one of the biggest countries in the Far East. It's very well implemented there. It's in the controlling all the immigration and the border control. So I hope they will we will get the release and we will be allowed to announce it.
Oh, great. Are we going to be able to find out around the size of those deals as well at the time?
When it was officially published, of course.
Okay. Okay. All right. I was just checking.
Good. Good.
Well, we appreciate very much you coming on and speaking with us this morning, Mr. Krill. I know we've had some eager shareholders itching to get you on the show and a representative from SDSS. So thank you for taking the time to speak with us. And as we always do here at STT Radio, I'd like to extend an open invitation to come back anytime you wish.
Thank you very much. And I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of phone calls for this short interview.
Oh, you do take phone calls?
I will.
All right. Sounds great. I'm sure there's lots of people who would love to talk to you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
All right. Thank you for coming on the show. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us this morning on STT Radio for a fantastic chairman interview with Mr. Krill of Suspect Detection Systems Incorporated, ticker SDSS. Definitely one to keep an eye on in the near future, and definitely a technology that should be expanding worldwide in the near future. So thank you for joining us once again. STT Radio, we are out.
Thank you for listening to Stock Traders Talk Radio. All views and topics talked about on Stock Traders Talk Radio is solely for entertainment purposes. We are not professional financial advisors and always recommend you seek the advice of a professional financial advisor. Never invest in any stock featured on our show unless you can afford to lose your entire investment. The information contained on our show is based on sources which we believe to be reliable, but is not guaranteed by us as being accurate, and might not be a complete statement or summary of the available data. Stock Traders Talk Radio advises that the investments in companies profiled are commonly considered to be high risk, and use of the information provided is at the investor's sole risk. Thank you for listening to Stock Traders Talk Radio.